All right. We are back on the regular scheduled Wednesdays instead of Thursday from last week. What is going on, everybody? It's Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, here with the Xbox 2. And as always, my right hand man, Jez Corden, is with me. What's going on, Jezzy?
Ugh. I'm all right. I'm all right.
Are you sure? I mean, you had a lot to say pre-show. So it's gonna you got yourself a coffee. You're gonna be on the fritz. You're upset. You're upset.
I'm depressed, but it's
Depressed.
okay. It's okay. We'll move past this, guys. We'll get past it. But at least I've had a decent night's sleep for once, and I'm actually fully awake for a podcast for a change, which rarely happens.
You know, I tuned into the morning mixer the other day when you and Roby were playing the Awakening, and you were like yawning like every like 2 minutes. You're like, ooh,
Yeah.
ooh.
I got up too early then. I think I got up at like 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
I just can't seem to have a normal sleep cycle, man. It's just weird.
All right, we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to be delving deep into Cuphead. I finished it. Jez wrote a review for Windows Central, so we're going to talk about that and how it's been received across the world. Microsoft shutting down Groove, and I can already hear Jez blood boiling as I say that. Jez has a lot to say about Microsoft shutting down or losing its groove, so to speak. Xbox potentially extending the exclusivity with PUBG, which I'm literally tired of hearing about PUBG. The game's not even out yet on Xbox, yet I hear about it all the time. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Forza 7 and the microtransactions, which has everybody's panties in a bunch. Is it really that big of a deal and all that stuff? We'll talk about that. Sony's CEO steps down. A new Halo title's coming out in 2 weeks. What? A new Halo game? Are you serious? Why wasn't that at E3? Well, yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. As always, Super Chat is available if you want us to answer your question immediately, or you can sponsor the channel. Everything's greatly appreciated. But yeah, so what have you been playing, Jez, before we get into the litany of stuff we want to talk about? What have you been playing besides Cuphead?
Besides Cuphead, okay.
Well, yeah, because Cuphead will be its own kind of like segment. I figured,
Yeah, I figured. Yeah. Besides Cuphead, I just completed Halo Wars 2's DLC, Awakening Nightmare, and it was very good. Actually, the cinematics were awesome. The characters were great. It was a solid expansion. I really enjoyed it. It's it's a shame that Halo Wars overall isn't that fun because it's a dumbed down RTS for console. It just dumbed down RTS just doesn't really work. I don't think. I mean, it's a solid effort. It's like I think I gave it 8 out of 10 or something, but it's like a really pretty game. It's some modes are kind of fun, like the Terminus Firefight Tower Defense mode's pretty fun. And it can be, and the campaign has full co-op, so that's pretty fun too. And obviously the blur cinematics are absolutely gorgeous, and it's awesome to see the flood back. So I played through that campaign and thoroughly enjoyed it. But I doubt I'll touch that game again now I've completed it. Other than that, I've been playing Skyrim Special Edition with the new paid mod survival mode DLC thing. I don't know if you've seen this. We haven't.
I have not seen it. What? So it's a paid mod. You have to pay to use this mod.
Okay, so this huge controversy. It's more controversial over on the PC side, I think, because the PC gamers obviously modding community is a huge deal on the PC side of things, and in the console world, it felt like people didn't really care about it because we don't really have to deal with mods that often. But so Skyrim Special Edition on Xbox One, it has a mod store developers can upload their, well, not developers, hobbyists and stuff like that. I suppose they're kind of developers, but they can upload their mods to the game, skin packs, new weapons, things that modify the game, like cheats and sexier women mods and all sorts of ridiculous stuff. And they can upload those to Skyrim and Fallout 4 for free, right? But Bethesda has created this new thing called the Creation Club, where developers can upload their mods to Bethesda to be approved by Bethesda to be included as an official DLC for the game. So like when you use a mod from the mod store, which are all free, they disable achievements because they can potentially break the game. However, yeah, I know you wouldn't like that. However, the Creation Club mods have been approved and balanced by Bethesda, so Bethesda calls them micro DLC, right? So it's things like weapon skins or skins for monsters or new monsters and stuff like that, and they've been balanced apparently, so they don't disable achievements, but they also cost special Bethesda bucks money.
Bethesda bucks? Who came up with that?
I came up with that. Don't diss.
Give me 100 Bethesda bucks.
I don't know what they're called, but basically it's like some fake money. I don't know what they're called, but it should be called Bethesda bucks. And if Bethesda are watching this, highly doubt they are, but if they are,
oh, that would be cool.
I will happily license Bethesda bucks to them.
Can you imagine if like Pete Hines or whatever was like actually checking out the podcast, like what they're talking about us right now? Oh, that'd be cool.
And then tomorrow there's an update and they change the name of the currency to Bethesda bucks. I will sue that. No, but yeah, the Creation Club it's paid micro DLC basically, and the first mod in the Creation Club is the survival mode, which is actually basically a rip-off of a free mod called Frostfall, I think it's called. And it's basically like survival mode. It adds hunger to the game. It adds, like you can get cold and wet, and you have to, it's a survival mode, like a survival game. And that is free until the 10th of October. But after that, it costs 600 Bethesda bucks or whatever it's called. So it's this huge controversy. People like, oh, Bethesda are going to make it so in the next Fallout and Skyrim, Elder Scrolls games, they'll only be paid mods, blah, blah, blah. And, and it's a big controversy, but I like it purely because it doesn't disable achievements. So I've been playing that. And it's pretty cool, But you can get it for free if you just download the Frostfall mod or wherever it's called. I don't know what it's called off the top of my head, but that's available on Xbox, and it's pretty fun. But that's what I've been playing.
Skyrim. That game's like what, 6 years old now?
God knows. It's a very old game, and it hasn't aged particularly well. But like, if you play it for like 15 minutes, you sort of adjust to it. I find.
Yeah.
I've just been running around setting things on fire and that sort of thing. Pretty fun,
So that's it. So let's see. What have I been playing? Well, I posted videos for Battle Chasers, Night War, and N++, which finally came to Xbox after being.
Oh, I've heard good things about that.
N++ is amazing, absolutely amazing. I mean, it's the sequel to N+, and nothing's really changed, but that doesn't matter because N+ was awesome. But it was on PS4 2 years ago, so it's on Xbox now. Definitely pick that game up if you're a fan of N+. And Battle Chasers Night War is an RPG, which we don't get a lot of RPGs on Xbox. And this one's actually really cool. I found myself actually drawn to the battle system. It's very much set up like Final Fantasy X, where you can see, since it's turn-based, you can see the attack order on the left-hand side. And, you have like regular attacks and you have like special attacks that, take time to use, and that affects like the lineup. But man, like the animations in that game and the color palette they use, like I'm like 6 hours in and like I just want to fight more people. And I'm not an RPG kind of dude, So I've been also trying. Cool. Yeah, it's a cool game. It's from a new studio made up of a bunch of people from Vigil, who made Darksiders.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. It was a Kickstarter game. It's getting pretty good reviews. Like I checked, it's getting a bunch of 8s and 9s from a bunch of outlets. So, If you haven't heard about that or seen the video, check it out. What else? I've been trying to play Forza 7, but my Xbox is an alpha. And I mean, you've heard about all the problems that alpha's having right now, right?
The alpha ring on Xbox. No, what problems?
The fact that party chat doesn't work, the fact that some games, like I was playing Runer, right?
I haven't checked out party chat because I've got no friends. So
Oh,
that's probably why I haven't.
Jazz.
Yeah.
You don't have you. What? I mean, you could. You never invite me to parties, Jazz. You always just like
Well, I use Discord like most people now, but
I like party chat, but so they have some severe issues with the new alpha, like severe issues. When you're playing a game in party chat, like you'll just break up. It'll actually affect the gameplay. Like I was playing Runer, and like the severe party chat issues was affecting the frame rate of Runer. Like
what?
yeah, and I can't play Forza in a party chat. Like it just won't work. And I can't even really play Forza outside of party. It just takes it like it'll spin at that main menu for 10 minutes, and I'll finally get into the game, and the sound will pop in and out, and I'll try to load up a race, but it won't load up a race. It's pretty bad for me at least. But yeah, like it's people have problems with Destiny 2. It's pretty shitty. And like everybody's asking for fixes, and they say they're hard at work, and that they thought they had it fixed on Monday, and they found a critical bug, and they had to delay that. So yeah, alpha. This might be the worst like alpha I've ever experienced.
Well, it's
like
alpha. It's alpha. God damn it!
I said alpha.
There's 4 rings of bugginess, and you're on the buggiest ring. So
this is beyond. Hold on. This is beyond buggy, Jazz.
Use the fast ring on Windows and tell me the alpha is buggy. Microsoft is so cautious with the alpha ring compared to the Windows team on the fast ring. The fast ring is like they'll ship builds on the fast ring that just give you blue screens of death or green screens of death on the fast ring, but the Xbox alpha ring is usually so polished, and and it's always funny to me when people complain about bugs on unreleased software.
I'm not complaining about bugs. I don't look like I run into issues on the alpha, which is I'm fine with because that's what I signed up for. It's just that here's the issue. I want to play my games and I can't. I expect them to figure that out before it gets to us. Like to me, alpha's supposed to figure out like different type of issues like font problems or hey, the white beam doesn't go.
That's the beta ring. That's what the beta ring is for.
Are you no. Are you meant to tell me that they're cool with putting out a alpha thing that basically breaks games and have you beta and have you test that? I don't think that's the purpose of that whole thing.
I don't think. Well, it is. It is. It's to test things in case things are broken before they ship it to the other rings.
I don't know about that.
The alpha ring is a hardcore badass ring for hardcore people such as myself. If you're not hardcore enough to be an alpha ring tester, get yourself on the beta ring, buddy.
I'm hardcore, Jazz. I'm hardcore to the bone. Okay, I'm just saying that it's affected the games I can play, and it's affected if I can even play them in party chat. Like, I'm not backing out of alpha because I want to help Xbox become better. I'm just saying this has been pretty bad. You know what I'm like? This has been like maybe the worst because it's affecting the games you play, and then it's affecting what else I use Xbox for, which is the social aspect of being in party with other people. Like it's kind of like a double whammy on that one. Like other things, like they're non-issues, but like when you sit there and you be like, hey, you want to play Forza 7, and it's like, sorry, because it has an issue with the thing. I don't know. It's just, I'm sure they'll fix it, but like, I just wanted to bring that up because I'm sure there are people in.
It is annoying, it's my job to review games. So if I'm on the alpha ring and I can't review a game because it's buggy, yeah, it's annoying. But at the same time, it's the alpha ring, So I think like the most ideal solution, Rand, is just to buy 2 Xboxes. In fact, buy 4, right? You can have
Well,
one on every single ring.
yeah, I could. Or I'll just get a. Here's the thing. So when I get the X, do I put the X on alpha or do I keep the S on alpha and keep the X just like
No,
smooth?
I wouldn't. I'm not going to put the X on the Alpha ring. That's just too hardcore for me. I'll just keep like a second console. I'll keep my other Xbox for the Alpha ring. The X is just going to be this sort of shrine to gaming, and it's going to have like its own place. It's going to have like its own lighting, like a little god ray coming down, lighting it up. I'm going to have little tributes to it. Like a shrine, man, like a shrine.
Yeah, like you with like a picture of Phil Spencer hanging above it and stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. With a gold,
Yeah.
with a gold frame, and with a really cheesy sort of livery on it. That's
What
the sort
about,
of
are you gonna have a picture of Mike Ybarra up there anywhere?
maybe a little one next to Phil, maybe,
And
and then another one of Aaron.
what
Aaron
about
Green.
Terry Myerson? He's got to be there somewhere.
No.
No, no, no. Terry Myerson and Jez's shrine to Xbox One. Well, what about Kareem Chowdhury? He's the one who engineered the system. You gotta have someone up there who actually built the system.
This is there's not that much room in my shrine for pictures of
Shannon
people.
Loftus.
Maybe I'll have a little picture of Roby somewhere,
Oh yeah, Roby.
and maybe AC Bongos too, and Stein. A very very little picture of Stein.
Oh yeah, like a little small selfie of Stein, right?
Yeah. What are we even talking about?
I don't know. We were talking about Forza and how I haven't gotten to play it much, but hopefully I can play it and put out a video about what's it like playing Forza Motorsport when you never played one before. Because
Wait. Forza's that game that doesn't have any guns, right?
Yes, Forza has no guns.
Lame.
Yeah, lame. So other than that, let's see. I'll have a video coming out later for Inversus Deluxe. I thought that was pretty cool, but I don't know. Like I think I played an hour of it, and that's like all I'm gonna play of it because like I can't progress anymore, and I don't want to play online. So it's like okay. I'm just kind of waiting for the bigger releases. Shadow of War next week, Evil Within 2 Friday.
I can't believe Shadow of War's here already. It feels
I
like it was
know.
only announced like yesterday.
I know, man.
Like,
And then we got South Park coming out soon. I don't know if you saw the achievement trophy list for that.
Nope.
It's gonna be some sort of game. But we're finally here. We're finally getting into the holiday season of games, man. And you're gonna be getting your X. Well, I'm gonna intercept the X before you get it, but
Well, I don't know if I'm gonna get the X because UK PR is not replying to my emails, so maybe they've just decided not to give me one.
oh, they don't like you no more. You're
like
in
me.
trouble.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm pre-ordering one as well anyway, so I'm gonna buy. I'll have 2 X.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to win one from Taco Bell, but I haven't.
We don't have. Well, actually, we do have Taco Bell, but they're all in London and stuff. Too far away from me.
So
Someone's asking about the Google Pixel in chat. Stealth Master Z. Yeah, Google Pixel's a phone. It looks pretty good. Microsoft don't make phones anymore, so that choice is pretty easy.
it's a very easy choice.
It is.
All right, so let's move on
Speaking
to Cuphead, a game both me and Jez played. Jez reviewed it for Windows Central. I believe you gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
I did. I docked the point because no online multiplayer. I thought that was pretty.
Wait, you gave it a 4 out of 5 or 4.5 out of 5?
4.5, yeah.
Okay. I gave it a 8.5 out of 10. But yeah, it seems like everybody seems to really enjoy this game. The reviews are quite high. I think it's like an 87 on Metacritic. There's millions of videos on YouTube about this, from like the boss fights. Crobecat like putting out like a video yesterday. People raging. I think it like something sold like 150,000 copies in the first 3 days just on Steam. I'm impressed, Jez. Like, you remember when people are like, "I'm not hyped for Cuphead anymore because it's been 4 years. I've lost my hype." I don't care about Cuphead, and then it comes out and everybody cares. Everybody loves the game, and what you got? Anything else? And we want to talk about like um your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, Cuphead was like this. It had such a hype train because it was this unique game. And when was it announced? Like 3 years ago?
I think it was announced like in yeah 4 3 years ago, 4 years ago maybe, 5 years
I don't know.
ago.
It was announced years ago, right? And between then and now, still no game that really came out except for maybe Bendy and the Ink Machine, which isn't on consoles. There's no game that really came out that had that kind of aesthetic. So, despite that, Cuphead still remained unique all this time, and they expanded the scope of it. Like originally, it was planned to have just a few bosses, and then they expanded it with running gun levels and extra little features here and there. They expanded the boss count, added all this like unique music, which is amazing by the way, the soundtrack. So, and it evolved into this really epic game that's $20. You can't go wrong for $20, and it's just a really great game. Great mechanics, tight gameplay, and it's super frustrating. But then it's like, man, when you kill a boss, it feels really good. Like that Souls like sort of feeling where you triumph after learning all the patterns and stuff like that. So, it's a solid game. There's no real complaints to make about it. I mean, I think I heard the UWP version on Windows 10 had some bugs and stuff, which has brought the score of it down a little bit. And, but besides that, I mean, it was rock solid on Xbox. Have you encountered any bugs on Xbox?
Nope.
'Cause I haven't.
I mean, like there was a couple boss bugs where like one of the bosses kind of flew off screen and ended, but like other than that, like no, the game's rock solid. It runs at a like pretty much perfect 60 frames.
Yep.
And it looks so incredible. Like the 1930s cartoon aesthetic. I love just playing through the boss fights and just seeing what the next boss would be and the phases that they would go through and stuff. And even I ended up enjoying the running gun levels a little bit more than I thought they would. But I did think the running gun levels were not as good as the boss fights, right? Yeah, Cypherman, the clapping monkey, definitely, he flew off the screen a couple times, actually. I'm so impressed by this game, and this is like their first game together, too. So it's like, the sky's the limit for the next one.
Yeah.
Hopefully it sells millions. Go ahead.
If they do like, I don't know if they'll do a Cuphead 2, but they might. But I do hope for the next game they keep the aesthetic, because I think that's. I mean, if this game was like an 8-bit game and it had 8-bit sprites, and the gameplay was exactly the same, but it didn't look like it does, it wouldn't have sold nearly as well or penetrated as nearly as well as it has. So I do hope that they make the art style their sort of studio signature. I think that'd be really cool, because no other studio is really doing that right now. I think whatever they do next.
I wonder if they can, like, if they can speed up their production of the next game by not hand drawing it or whatever, because I'm sure that probably is one of the reasons why this took forever. But like, I beat the game. I got A ranks on every boss on regular difficulty. I'm only missing like one achievement, which is beat the game on expert, which I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to beat the game on expert. I really enjoy the game. It completely exceeded my expectations. But like Jess said, I wish it had online co-op. I really wish it did.
Someone in chat mentioned that because of how responsive the game is and stuff like that, that producing netcode that is also that responsive would be quite difficult. But Microsoft does it on other games. I mean, Halo 5. I mean, yeah, okay, the game was independently developed, but it's had Microsoft's backing. And Microsoft are supposedly industry leaders in cloud delivery and latency and all that sort of stuff. I think Microsoft could have pulled it off. I think they should have tried to pull it off. In games like Halo 5 and Killer Instinct have like this industry leading netcode. They could have pulled it off a Cuphead, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they did say they would take a look into the feasibility of adding it later, but I thought that was a kind of a missed opportunity. I think they maybe potentially could have picked up more sales and maybe a better review scores. There's also kind of a few nitpicks. Like, I don't like how you can't like change your weapons during a boss battle. Like, not during the boss battle, but like say when you die, I would like to be able to like kind of manage my different weapons and charms instead of having to go all the way back out. And then if you're on like, the last level and you want to replay a boss on the first level, you got to kind of like walk back all the way back, which is, it's a little frustrating, but when you're trying to do all that stuff, it kind of adds up. Plus, like, the overworld, as awesome as the overworld is and how it looks and everything like that, like, it's kind of useless, like, I mean, there's really nothing to do there between like walk to and from the boss fights. There's not much to do, but it doesn't really matter because like the 17 boss fights plus the boss fights in the casino level and stuff are so well done, like are
Yeah,
just so good, and that's where the game shines, man, is those boss fights. Those boss fights are absolutely incredible.
they reminded me of like the old school treasure games and stuff like that, like Gunstar Heroes
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. Like there's like a bunch of bosses in Gunstar Heroes that have like multiple phases, and I remember this one boss called Seven Force, which had 7 phases, and it was just like I got that nostalgic childhood feeling of like, yeah, I'm progressing through these boss stages, and they even had like the little exploding stuff happening, like when the bosses die and that sort of thing. So it's really fun.
Yeah.
So I love that game.
So Rain City Gamers says, "Is Cuphead Windows 10 Xbox exclusive? Or will it make its way to Switch and PS4? It would be spectacular on Switch." And I did see Beastfire Tim Dog, our friend Timmy, good friend of the show, good friend of both me and Jez. He put up a poll and was like, "What's the better IP for Xbox, Ori and Cuphead?" Right? I don't know if you saw that poll, Jez, or not.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The thing is, Microsoft doesn't own the Cuphead IP. Studio MDHR owns that. So, when I saw that poll, I'm immediately like, well, the only one to vote for is Ori because Microsoft owns Ori. Microsoft doesn't own Cuphead whatsoever. And, the devs have been very forthcoming saying this Cuphead game, like this one, is exclusive to Xbox. Like, it won't be on any other console, PS4, Switch. But that's only for this game. So, Cuphead 2 might be multi-platform,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wish the studio the best. They deserve it. They made a fantastic game. This is a game that is going to get a lot of Game of the Year votes. Would you agree? A lot of people, I think, will possibly make this their Game of the Year.
I think so. Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a contender. I expect it will clean up well at Game Award shows, and I'll tell you why. Game journalists, they like to support really hard games because it's like, look at us, we like the hard games. That means we're pro, and that sort of stuff. So I think there's going to be a lot of accolades for Cuphead, whether it's deserved or not, and clearly it is deserved because it is a tremendous game. And I realize the irony of me saying that journalists support hard games because it makes them look good, but I don't know. I'll openly admit that I suck at Dark Souls, but I really, really like Cuphead.
Yeah, Cuphead is absolutely fantastic experience. Everybody out there, if you have an Xbox or Windows 10 or even on Steam, because it's on Steam, and I think being on Steam helps the game out a lot too, because you don't. Yeah,
I think honestly, every single Microsoft game should be on Steam now.
Oh, that is that's a boat. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. Every single game Microsoft should put on Steam.
Yeah.
Wow, that would make a lot of people angry, Jez.
Well, I mean, what's the difference? I mean, if it's not the Windows 10 store, which sucks, they're making PC gamers angry and Xbox gamers. So you might as well delight PC gamers, get a load of positive buzz for your game by putting it on Steam, because any game that's on the Windows 10 store is not going to get positive buzz. It's just not. So I think every game should be on Steam, because then they're no longer associated directly with Microsoft, unless it's like Halo and stuff like that. But
well, I think being on Steam had helped out with the hype for the game, because it wasn't just Xbox gamers.
Store, man. I've totally given up on it.
I can tell.
The issues that, I mean, I wrote an article months and months ago, basically saying the Windows 10 store sucks. It has to do this to fix itself. It has to have all these new features, blah, blah, blah. they haven't done anything with it. Even though like people from Microsoft reached out to me and said, "Oh, this is what we're doing. This is what we've changed. You know, we saw your feedback, blah blah blah," and they have improved some things. They had improved some things like they showcased true PC games front and center rather than the stupid mobile games left over from the Windows Phone era, which is now very definitely over. And they have improved some things, but the problem is the same bugs that are there from a year ago, like Forza Horizon 3 wouldn't download properly because the file size was too big. Forza Motorsport 7 wouldn't download properly because the file size is too big. They don't they haven't improved anything. And Fresh Baked asks, why does the Windows 10 store suck so bad? It's because the Windows team handles it, not the Xbox team. And you know, and the Windows team don't care about consumers and they don't care about gaming. And this is evident from things to do with Groove Music and that sort of thing. All the stuff that's under Terry Myerson cannot be trusted, basically. So the Windows 10 store sucks because Phil's not in charge of it. And you can bet bottom dollar if Mike Ybarra was in charge of the Windows 10 store, that shit will be cleaned up in like 5 minutes. But because he's not in charge of it, it's just a train crash, and that's why Mike Ybarra himself uses Steam, because the Windows 10 store is a joke. It's a total joke. And I think the Windows 10 store at this point is going to harm a game more than help it. So even though the Windows 10 store is native to PC, so when you buy a PC, you get the Windows 10 store right there on the taskbar. You don't have to install Steam. The experience is so bad, and UWP is so bad for games that it hurts a game rather than benefits it. So if Cuphead was exclusive to the Windows 10 store, no fucking way would it be getting the kind of buzz that it is now, that it is getting because it's on Steam. So I think moving forward, if Microsoft is serious about this whole gaming thing, they should put Forza Motorsport 7 on Steam. They should be putting, Lucky's Tale on Steam. They should be putting Crackdown 3 on Steam. They should just put all their games on Steam. Because until the Windows 10 store isn't a pathetic joke, all it's going to do is hurt their games and hurt their brand image, And evidently, they can't fix it because it's been a year and they haven't fixed it. It's still terrible.
Well, Analog Circle Podcast could just said they can just stop putting games on PC, period.
Well, they could do that, but at the same time, they're just throwing away free money by not doing that, because there's not a huge amount of crossover between console and PC gaming. So a PC gamer isn't going to run out and buy an Xbox just because a game's exclusive. They're not going to run out and buy an Xbox to play Forza when there's like decent enough alternatives on PC, like Project Cars 2 and Need for Speed and stuff like that. They're not going to rush out and do that. So I think for Microsoft can make a lot of money by supporting Steam and thus make more games and actually, have a more healthy business by supporting Steam. And also they'll have a better relationship with Steam for better integration and stuff like that. Because
Jez has been waiting all day to go off of Microsoft, and we're not even at the Groove segment yet, where this is all going to be talked about. And you just been waiting. It's burning inside of you right now. I can tell.
It's a joke, man. It's terrible.
All right, so let's Cuphead. Last thoughts. I really enjoy the game. It's incredible. Probably going to be in my top 10. Pick it up if you have an Xbox One or if you on PC. I think being on both has really helped the game tremendously. Final thoughts on Cuphead before I guess we're going to talk about Microsoft shutting down Groove and everything that goes along with it. And Jez is going to rant, guys, because he is upset about this. So you're going to want to hear what Jez has to say. So Jez, final thoughts on Cuphead.
Final thoughts on Cuphead. Go and buy it. That's it.
Go and buy it. There you go. All right, Jez, you know what? Since you know more about this than me, even though I know I did a video about it, let the people know what the heck is going on with Microsoft and the Groove Music stuff. And shout out to the Analog Podcast for donating $2. Thank you very much. What is going down? What has got you so upset?
Okay, so
just lay it out for
I'm not as angry about it. Yeah, I'm not as angry about it as I was yesterday because we've done some research and that sort of thing. But there is this sort of steady procession of consumer services that are getting killed by Microsoft We've seen the Microsoft Band killed, so Microsoft Health's been killed. We've seen Lumia being killed, Windows 10 Mobile be killed, and all this time Microsoft is very quiet about it, treating its fans like they don't matter, just ignoring them when they ask questions, not replying, and that sort of thing, just sort of alienating all these people. And Microsoft Groove has had a really, really painful life cycle. It was originally Zune Music, and then it turned into Xbox Music, and it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. Xbox Music was, but then there was tons of feedback, and everyone worked. Everyone inside the program worked hard to, deliver feedback to get Xbox Music up to scratch, and they updated the app, and it started getting good. They rebranded it to Groove Music, and it started getting great. And then Groove Music was like the best UWP app on the Windows 10 store in terms of the way it looked, in terms of its usability, its speed, and the quality of its service. It was the showcase app for Universal Windows platform. And then one day, Microsoft just decided to kill it after presumably, now nobody knows how many users Groove had.
10.
But it must have been quite a few, because every single article on Windows Central is full of rage about Groove Music at the minute. And every single article, even if it's not about Groove Music, it's like, oh, Microsoft has announced a new headset, and the comments are just full of snark, like, oh, that'll get cancelled in 3 years, blah blah blah. So a lot of people, presumably thousands of people, were using this service, but Microsoft just shut it down and said, we've decided to partner with Spotify and move everyone over to there. Now, the thing that pissed me off about it was the precedent it sets. Not necessarily missing Groove, because quite honestly, Spotify is a great service, and it's actually, I think it's slightly cheaper, and it has high quality streaming and that sort of stuff. The Spotify is a great service, so it's not like it's the death of it's not like the apocalypse is happening, right? But yeah, it's like Rain City Gamer says, is Mixer next? Is Movies and TV going to be next? It's like, we don't know. We don't know whether these services are safe or not. So it's like, for example, Windows Central, we've spent the last year and a half building up an audience on Mixer instead of Twitch. Now, all that time and money we've invested to stream on Mixer and build up an audience there, would that have been smarter to spend that time on Twitch? Because Microsoft shuts down services that aren't competing, and stuff like that. And quite honestly, Mixer is never going to catch up to Twitch. Let's be completely honest here. Mixer is never, ever going to take on Twitch in a million years. They're never going to take on YouTube either in a million years. YouTube gaming and whatever. So now it's kind of like Microsoft is creating this perception of a company that cuts things if they aren't immediately successful. Microsoft didn't market Groove at all, and it expects it to be a success. It's like Satya Nadella's book has had more marketing than Groove Music ever had. So it's about the precedent it sets, and the sense that Microsoft doesn't give a shit about the people that it's affecting. The fact that they've shut down Groove has affected my life, because I use Groove all the time on my phone. The Spotify app on my phone is garbage because I'm one of the stupid people that still has Windows Phone. So Microsoft, by canceling Groove, Microsoft not only has left Windows Mixed Reality without a streaming service, which is fucking hilarious, but they've also killed my phone, which I paid £500 for, which isn't an old phone. That released not that long ago. It's the HP Elite X3. So Microsoft has basically released a load of products, got people to pay for them without telling them that they were planning to shut them down. And the issue is, it doesn't matter to Microsoft. Microsoft don't care, because none of Microsoft's services by itself are consequential to Microsoft. Microsoft's portfolio is so diverse, they can shut down any single one of its companies and still just be fine. One day they could just decide, you know what, we're not going to make service anymore, scrap it. and it wouldn't touch them. It would be chump change to them to shut that down. They could be like, you know what, we're gonna shut down movies in TV and refund people's purchases. You know, it wouldn't touch them. You know, it would be fine for them. They could even say we'll shut down Xbox, and you know, it wouldn't be a problem to them because they're so diverse as a company. It doesn't matter to them. So it's like Alex PSX says, time to switch to Sony, Jez. You'll be safe there. At least you know with PlayStation, that's their whole business pretty much. They've got like a bit of a TV business. They've got a very tiny phone business and a bunch of other like I think they do insurance and stuff like that.
They also have like a failing like movie business too.
Yeah, but you know, core to Sony is PlayStation. So you know PlayStation's never going away. They will always iterate on PlayStation. But, you know, Phil Spencer did get promoted Xbox to his CVP of gaming, not necessarily Xbox, but CVP of gaming. So it's like, what does that mean? You know, does that mean gaming on Windows Mixed Reality? Does that mean this? Does that mean that? You just don't know anymore because Microsoft are creating this perception that they don't give a fuck about any of their customer bases, any of their individual customer bases, you know? And the unceremonious way they did all this, it's just so tone deaf. It's like, we're excited to announce your music service is shutting down. That's literally what the email said. We're excited to announce that your phone no longer has any fucking music services attached to it. It's like, wow, you know, how tone deaf is this? There's no thought gone into this. There's no forethought gone into this. They've just gone up and done it. So yeah, I'm pissed off. And also it erodes confidence in their other services. Now I know why they've shut down Groove, and it's because 80% of music streaming is done on your phone, and Microsoft doesn't have a phone platform anymore, and Spotify is completely dominant on Android and iOS, you know. And you know, so there's no way Groove could compete with that, and it probably wasn't making that much money. And there was no free option either because setting up an ad network for a mobile streaming service is very difficult. And Spotify itself has never made a penny. It's never made a penny, you know. So, so logically, it makes total sense to shut down Groove. But it's just the way they've done it, you know, the handling of it. And when you tie Groove together with Microsoft Band, which shut down for virtually no reason out of the blue, and Windows 10 Mobile, the way that shut down, Windows 10 Mobile had 50 million users at its height. And Microsoft just silently, slowly shut it down without telling anyone why. They didn't even tell their hardware partners that they were shutting it down. So the hardware partners wasted money investing in Windows Phone. Corporations wasted money investing in Windows Phone, like the New York Police Department. They had 60,000 Windows Phones that are all now useless. Microsoft shut all this down one by one, you know, like they don't give a fuck. And they would never admit failure. They wouldn't admit that they were shutting it down. They just sort of did it. And it's just like a company that is in a position to be as big and as rich as Microsoft, to be able to do that without giving crap, without caring. You know, like if a smaller company like PlayStation did something like that, that would hurt their, you know, press relations and their public relations so bad that they'd be in trouble, you know. But because Microsoft is so big, they don't care about doing this sort of stuff because they're invincible, you know. Enterprises depend on them. Azure is huge and infinite, you know. Azure will go on forever, you know. So Microsoft just doesn't care about any of this stuff. And it feels like it's got to the point where it feels like investing in Microsoft products and services doesn't feel like a safe bet to me anymore, you know. So that's where I'm at, Rand. Now, if that's an overreaction, maybe it is. I don't know.
You know, look, I made a video. To me, I never use Groove Music, right? I don't really use any of the music services. My issue with Groove shutting down is just Microsoft tends to be behind something 100% until they're not, right? So like I look at it like Mixer. A year from now, if Microsoft's not happy with Mixer's growth, do they just cut and run? And then a future headlines like Microsoft has decided to sell the technology of Mixer to Twitch and partners with Twitch. You know, like all these different things, right? Not only just like them canceling Groove, like we can talk about them canceling the Microsoft Fit Band, the fact that Windows Phone is pathetic. You know, and I had a Windows Phone, like you know, them like basically making Connect and making it useless. You know, like all these projects that they are behind. I mean, hell, Microsoft had like Amazon Echo and Alexia before Amazon did with the Connect, because I saw, I think your buddy Dan Brown wrote an article for Windows Central about that. Like they had all that stuff first, but like they just gave up on it, you know. So some of this stuff is just like, you know, then they cancel Fable Legends, shut down the studio, they cancel Scalebound. There's not a lot of, I mean, I could understand why a lot of people maybe are not willing to invest in Microsoft's ecosystem, because it seems like you don't really. It seems like they're just more willing to shut stuff down. Like we joked before the show went on that a future headline, which you know you kind of mentioned before, was Microsoft shuts down Windows 10 gaming partners with Steam. And you mentioned it earlier that you thought Microsoft should exactly do that. They should just drop Windows 10 gaming and put all their games on Steam.
Yeah, I think they should.
And I mean, if you want to make money, that's probably the best way to go. But like, I originally, because me and you butted heads originally over this. Remember, a year ago, I told you Windows 10 Store for gaming will never amount to anything. Nobody's ever going to use it. And you know, you were a little bit more like optimistic about it. You're like, no, just give it time. People will buy into it, and they'll use it.
They would fix it after a year. There's been 2 major Windows updates, and barely anything has changed. And the thing about the Windows Store is it's a separate app, so it's not like it's core to the operating system. They can update that whenever they fucking want. They just don't, because they suck. So they should just scrap it instead of half-assing it. They should just scrap it. You know, if you're gonna, it's hurting Xbox, it's hurting Microsoft Studios right now by being there and being crap. So they might as well just scrap it and partner up with Steam and start putting their PC games on Steam. You know, and maybe they could do Xbox Play Anywhere deal with Steam instead. You know, because clearly Microsoft can't develop their own PC delivery system. We've seen it with games for Windows Live. Now we've seen it again. We saw it again with the Windows 8 store, which was also complete garbage. And now we're seeing it again with the Windows 10 store, which is moderately, slightly less garbage, but still a whole pile of garbage, you know? So it's gotten to the point now where I've just got no faith in the Windows team to deliver a quality gaming experience on PC. And I welcome them to prove me wrong and prove gamers wrong, but I know they fucking won't. Because it's Terry Morrison's Windows team.
So why doesn't the gaming division run the gaming side of Windows?
The Windows. Now, I've heard it's because Terry Morrison wouldn't let them.
Terry Morrison wouldn't let them. I mean, but doesn't he want
his? I can't verify that, but apparently, basically, that there's been an argument or there's been a discussion about who should run the Windows Store. You know, who should be running it. And apparently, and I can't verify this, and which is why I haven't written it up, but apparently there's been a discussion who should run the Windows Store, and it was decided that it wouldn't be Xbox. So it is Windows that's at fault here. It is Terry Morrison's team that's at fault here. Not Phil, not Mikey Barra. Because you can bet if Mikey Barra was running the store, that it wouldn't be terrible, because he's a gamer. Mikey Barra is a gamer, and he understands what gamers want, and he's a Steam user. Terry Morrison is the least gamer person on earth. You know, when he talks about gaming, it's like watching, you know, one of those EA E3 press conferences, you know, where the execs come on stage and try to talk about gaming and they don't know what they're on about. Terry Morrison is a business guy and he's good at it, but he should stick to business stuff and let Xbox run the gaming stuff, because he sucks at it. and it's gonna impact Windows mixed reality, which is what they're supposedly all in on now, and they're pushing these mixed reality headsets to consumers this holiday season, but they're gonna suck because the Windows team doesn't understand consumers.
Well, okay, so whose decision of it was to redesign the Xbox store on the Xbox to the Microsoft store? Because they kind of changed that around. Was that?
Well, they all work together, and at the end of the day, having a unified store is probably a good thing, because they can sell all their products under one umbrella, and they do still believe in universal Windows platform for whatever reason, And like Joe Evans just said, will Phil's promotion put him in a better position to change that? Hopefully, yes, it will. Which is the only shred of optimism I have about this whole thing, is that Phil is now an executive on the on the senior leadership team. So that's the only slither of hope that we have here, is that Phil is now on the same level as Terry, and he can be like, no, this has to be fixed because I'm a gamer and you're not, and you don't understand what gamers want. You are alienating Microsoft Studios with your crappy store. Fix it. And then he will slap Terry Myerson, and and then Terry will go flying across the table, and Phil will stand gloriously with like sun god rays shining down, and he'll be a hero, and he'll save Windows. And in fact, Windows will be rebranded to the Xbox operating system, and it'll be just a game-focused operating system, and we can forget all about this.
But the odds of that happening are probably
zero.
The thing is, like you said, they've had a year since Quantum Break to fix the store. Now, Cuphead has issues. Forza 7 has issues on the PC. You only get one chance to make a good first impression. And the first impression about Windows 10 isn't good. I mean, Xbox Play Anywhere is great. Like, yeah, if you buy one, get the other so you don't have to. But man, like if I was a PC gamer, why would you use the Windows 10 store? And that's why a lot of people on Steam are like, why would I ever use the Windows 10 store for anything? And Microsoft is using those Xbox games as bait. It's like, you want to play the new Age of Empires? It's Windows 10 store exclusive. And you have a lot of Steam people or a lot of people out there that are just like, I don't want to go to Windows 10 because it sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And
well, that's why, like, thing. That's another thing. 40% of current Windows PCs are still on Windows 7, and 40% are on Windows 10. By not having the game on Steam on Win32, you are losing 40% of your potential audience, even more if you count Windows 8 and stuff. So it's bad business to put it on the Windows 10 store. For Xbox too, it's a messed up situation, man. Microsoft should just buy Steam. They can afford it, probably.
Just buy Steam? Oh
just
boy,
buy them. Just buy Steam. Actually, no, that's terrible.
Wait. They should just buy PlayStation and Nintendo while they're at it.
They should. They should just buy everything. Apparently, Microsoft supposedly have $100 billion in a bank somewhere. And
then Apple will buy Microsoft.
That's the war chest. And they could. I mean, Steam's worth like 10 billion or something. Not that much. It wouldn't be that. It would be trivial for Microsoft to buy Steam if it was at all possible.
See, this is the problem, Jez.
That'd be terrifying.
This is the problem. You tell people I play Barbie and that I play like Hannah Montana and like Mary-Kate and Olsen games, and now I got people in chat saying I'm crazy because I played those games. Although, I mean, Optimus Specs is, one of those guys, like one of those, you don't really take anything he says seriously, because he used to be in chat for TXR and just say dumb stuff. So, just like Other Zinc, like who I banned from the channel because. Do you know who Other Zinc is?
I don't know.
Man, this got you a little riled up, dude. It's got you riled up. Look. Microsoft would have to do something more for me to lose confidence, right? It would have to be more along the Xbox side of it, because I don't care about Groove. I don't even really care about Mixer.
Someone said Valve was worth $500 billion.
Valve.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Total equity 2.5 billion. Ooh, that's not 500 billion. I don't think Apple's market cap is 500 billion, is it? God.
I don't know.
Oh, wow. I don't even know. That was funny. But I like that. But yes,
But
carry
for
on.
me, it would take more. Like I like Microsoft because I like Xbox. I couldn't care less about any of their other products and services. Like I don't like, so like to me it's like they shut down Groove, whatever. I don't use Groove. They shut down Fitband, I didn't use Fitband. They shut down Windows Phone, whatever. I'll get an Apple phone or it's like
That'll come for you one day, Rand. That's my
I
point.
mean if they come for my achievements, there's gonna be hell to pay. There's gonna be
Exactly.
hell to
That
pay.
will come for your Xbox one day. Satya's anti-consumer ways, they'll come for your Xbox one day. You know. And and remember, Phil's a CVP of gaming, not Xbox. So what that could mean, selling Azure to EA and Ubisoft one day, not necessarily making games. You don't know, man. We just don't know anymore. And that's mainly my point. But in the interest of fairness and honesty, feels good, man. My Steam's worth 1 trillion. Lol. Gonna ban. Ban. Right. So, where was I? In the interest of fairness, the truth about Groove is that nobody used Groove, and they couldn't compete with Spotify, and that's why they shut it down. And at the end of the day, they made a good business decision to shut it down. And people at Microsoft have said to me, you should see this as the reallocation of resources on things that we can be competitive in, So it could end up being a good thing, but the problem is it's the way they do it, It's the way they go about things. They don't give proper explanations. They just say we're shutting this down for no real reason, and that's what consumers see. And then that erodes confidence in their services and stuff like that. And so a lot of people were asking, will movies and TV be shut down next? And I was told that movies and TV makes really good money on Xbox because people watch movies and TV on their televisions. They don't watch movies and TV. They don't listen to music. They especially don't use Groove on their TV. So that's why that was shut down, And I think Groove, the whole reason Groove Music had music videos was because Microsoft was trying to make it a thing on television, but they couldn't do it. So movies and TV is not going away, apparently. But we just don't know.
You would figure that movies and TV wouldn't cost them anything to run. Like movie studios, and they want their movies everywhere they could possibly sell them. Like I get Groove, like nobody uses Groove, right? So it's like, and especially we don't know. I mean, is this kind of a thing that Spotify made them do because Spotify's finally on Xbox, and like a month later they're like, by the way, Groove is being canceled? Probably, maybe it was a requirement to come to Xbox and Windows 10 in the first place, right?
No,
Possibly.
I've got more rumors to throw into my
hat. We got rumors coming here. Ooh.
Spotify was never exclusive to PlayStation.
It was never exclusive to PlayStation.
No. What happened was back in 2015. Now again, take this as a rumor. I have no verification for this whatsoever. But back in 2015, apparently, Microsoft was actually working with Spotify to make a universal Windows platform app of Spotify. Now, the source who told me this has been accurate in the past, so I believe them, but at the same time, can't verify any of this. So apparently there was going to be a Spotify app for Universal Windows platform across Xbox, PC, and phone back in 2015. But at the time, Microsoft was working on an Android bridge called Project Astoria, which would port Android apps to the Windows Store, right? Now, At the time, the Universal Windows Platform APIs were very immature and didn't work properly, especially not on Xbox because Xbox didn't support UWP back then. So, what Microsoft decided was we'll port this with Astoria instead, and Spotify will be our headline app for Astoria. It will be the feature of Astoria. Okay? But Astoria didn't work fucking properly, did it? So they spent ages trying to get this app through to Astoria, and it didn't work. So they gave up, and because of that, Astoria was cancelled completely. Now this is a bit of a story in its own right. If you're a Windows fan, you should know about Project Astoria because it was going to be the savior of Windows Phone. We'll suddenly get all these Android apps on Windows Phone because of Astoria, but no, Astoria didn't work, and they shut it down. So then they decided to port Spotify to UWP using the iOS bridge Islandwood, which sort of works, but they couldn't get that working either. Which brought us to today when they basically just gave up and ported the stupid HTML TV app in the end instead. So now we've on the Windows platform right now, there's 3 Spotify apps. There is the old school Windows Phone 8 app, which still works, believe it or not, on Windows Phone. We've got the stupid Project Centennial desktop app on Windows Store, which looks terrible. And then we've got the HTML TV app on Xbox One, when Microsoft originally wanted to get a UWP app across all 3. But because they botched it so much, that's the situation we're in now. It was never actually exclusive to PlayStation. It's just Microsoft screwed it up. That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. And so somewhere there is a Spotify UWP app sitting around in a OneDrive folder somewhere, which could be rebranded and re-released for the Windows 10 store. Because if you think about it, Microsoft is pushing Windows Mixed Reality right now. And Windows Mixed Reality relies on UWP. And now there's no UWP music service for Windows Mixed Reality except for Pandora, which apparently used to be the Spotify UWP app. So, yeah, there's that. So we might get a Spotify UWP app in the future as part of this whole deal, because it is a little bit odd that Groove is advertising Spotify so heavily. There has to be something more to this deal, basically.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of suspect to me. It's like, hey, Spotify's here, and then a month later, Groove is canceled. We're partnering with Spotify. It's kind of like maybe it was a requirement, or I don't know. But I mean, yeah. So, because some people will say, and I've seen it in chat, oh, you guys are making a mountain out of molehill, overreacting, blah, 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 blah. Look, and like I said, I haven't like lost consumer confidence in Microsoft because like with Microsoft product, I only care about is Xbox. Yeah, I wish Microsoft would have more exclusives. Yeah, I was disappointed when they canceled Scalebound and Fable Legends. Yeah, I think this year for Xbox has been like the worst year ever, right? But I still like, okay, so I think it'll be better going forward. So like the idea that Groove canceling and all this other stuff would make me lose faith in the other stuff, a little bit of stretch because I don't care about any of that stuff. They would have to come out and be like, by the way, 343 Studios is shut down, Coalition shut down. Then I'd be like, we have some problems here, Jez. Something's not right, and it's time to go, you know? So for me, like, since I don't use any of that stuff, I don't really care. But for Jez, who actually does use all that stuff, he's a little bit more upset. And for people who actually use Groove Music and stuff, I'm sure those people were pretty upset about it. So, understandably.
It's complicated, man. Microsoft doesn't seem to have a coherent strategy right now. It's just like they're shooting things in a scattergun approach, you know, and hoping something sticks. And this whole UWP thing, this Windows Store thing, it's like they're just not fully serious about any of it. It's really, really frustrating. As a consumer, as a journalist who likes Microsoft and wants them to do well, it's really frustrating watching them just basically, you know, they're on like a, I don't know what you call it in America, but like a carousel of crap, just going around in a circle.
Crap.
Yeah, it's just going around in a circle, not fixing the things that need to be fixed, and just struggling with it, man. It's just frustrating. see a company that can do things like HoloLens and, you know, get backwards compatibility working, and some of the things they do that are just incredible, and then they just fuck up all the other stuff. It's really frustrating. So, you know, if
So on
you
one hand,
cover my,
so you like you think like Phil and them do a great job, but like you think it's Terry Myerson, that damn Terry Myerson.
I don't blame Terry
Windows.
Myerson. It's just not his expertise. Clearly, he doesn't know what consumers want, you know, because some of the things that the Windows team has pushed to consumers, it's just stupid. You know, like we've now got in the Photos app, for example, on Windows 10, we've now got like filters and stickers and stuff like that. It's like I don't want that on my Photos app. I want that on Instagram. Like, why are they trying to compete there? You know, and doing all this other weird stuff on Windows 10. Like, they renamed the Photos app to the Story Remix app. You know, it's just like,
Yeah.
what is this weird not understanding what people want? Where does it come from? And the only thing I can guess is that it comes down from the top, from Terry Myerson, you know. And the Windows team has to sit there and grin and take it because they're working for this guy who doesn't seem to understand consumers. And you know, I've heard all sorts of stories about weird stuff from the Windows team, you know. And it's, to me, the only team that seems to know what it's doing is Xbox right now, and which is evident by the fact that Phil's been promoted. If Phil didn't know what he was doing, he wouldn't have been promoted. But then again, Terry got promoted. So what do I know? You know, it's weird, man. Windows is in such a weird place right now. I don't feel like Windows is being run well. And the thing is, because Windows isn't being run well, it's having a knock-on effect on Xbox. Because look at the Windows 10 store. So yeah, it makes me mad. You know. Especially as someone whose job it is to get up and look at this stuff and analyze it every day. That's my job. It's depressing and frustrating and annoying, you know. I wish I could just not care about it, but it's, you know, part of my job to care about it. And it's just terrible what they're doing. It's awful. A lot of it. You know.
Yep. Well, all right. Well, you know, I hope that was therapeutic for you, Jazz, to get out your angst against some of the
Well,
stuff.
it was for now. I'm sure Microsoft will come up with some other novel way of disappointing me next week, but you know, there it is for now.
There it is for now. So let's move on to the next topic. PUBG. Oh my god, I'm fucking sick of here talking about PUBG and hearing about PUBG already. So Bloomberg, who ran an article a couple days ago where they said, hey, you know, they're in talks with Sony to bring PUBG to PlayStation. And everybody was like, oh my god, this is Tomb Raider all over again. Remember when Square Enix announced that it was coming to PlayStation before it even came out for Xbox, right? They started doing that, and people were like, what is going on? How are you doing this already? Well, they ran an article yesterday that were like, Microsoft is looking to extend the exclusivity period with PUBG. And I'm like, oh my god. Oh my god. Like, I'm so sick of PUBG, dude. Like, I haven't played the game yet, but I'm just sick of hearing about it. You know, because it's not just PUBG, it's Fortnite. Because if you don't hear about PUBG, you hear about Fortnite. Because it's the same thing. It's like, ugh, like, just let the game come out. I don't want to talk about PUBG again until I play the game. You know, like, I'm sick of talking about all this stuff. So, what do you think,
I'm
Jez?
just sort of passively ignoring PUBG. It's like I've played it a couple of times on PC, and then my PC broke, and I had to send it away to be repaired. So I haven't really played PUBG that much, but obviously I've watched streams and stuff like that, and that was weeks ago. And then I just thought, okay, this game's pretty cool. I'm just gonna sit there and wait for it now. And it's just like, it's just got such a hype train behind it. And yeah, it's because 1.5 million people are playing it right now. So, you know, obviously it's got a lot of interest, and the press want to write about it because they hope writing about it will create clicks and that sort of thing. And, you know, we've written about it as well. We wrote about the exclusivity extension and that sort of thing because we know people are interested in PUBG. And obviously Xbox exclusivity is always controversial. So, you know, that's always fun. And Bloomberg basically said that anonymous sources have told us that this is happening. And it's kind of weird for Bloomberg to wade into this sort of story, but PUBG is the new hotness right now. And Bloomberg are generally a trusted, credible source. So, I don't know how they would know this. I don't know why someone would tip off Bloomberg and not someone like Kotaku or something, but there it is,
So Optimus just said that I would love PUBG if it was on my new girlfriend, the PS4. Oh, that's so funny. I gotta give it to them. That's pretty good.
I don't get it. But anyway, the PUBG exclusivity extension. Now, if it's true, the way I see it, Rand, is that Microsoft are just protecting their investment. They don't want to be seen as a company that is basically paying for the PlayStation 4 version of a game, which is what rumored to be part of the reason why Microsoft cancelled Scalebound, was because they were basically giving, and this is the rumor again, pinch of salt rumor, blah blah blah. They were giving Platinum Games money, and Platinum Games spent the money on developing Nier Automata, which was a PlayStation exclusive. So Microsoft were like, "Why are we giving you all this money to develop a competitor's game? We're going to cancel Scalebound." So I would assume if Microsoft is looking to extend the exclusivity, it's more about protecting their investment rather than being dicks. But at the same time, it is funny because Phil Spencer's always said that he doesn't like these kind of deals and stuff like that. So, it's hard. It's hard, man. It's hard to speculate on things that we don't have full information about.
Well, I find it interesting that Bloomberg is doing this. First off, that they said in their interview that they're in talks with PlayStation. It almost seemed like one of those things where it's like they're putting it out there so Microsoft can give them more money. It's like, yeah, we're in talks with Sony. Microsoft hears that through Bloomberg and they're like, fuck, okay, we need to throw more money at them. Because for a long time, when asked about the exclusivity of this game, it was nobody would answer it. They were always sidestepping the question, right? And then suddenly it was, yeah, we're talking to Sony. And then you realize, oh my God, this is Tomb Raider all over again, right? And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, they're looking to extend the exclusivity. So they're probably just using the press as kind of like a bargaining tool. Maybe Fortnite coming out and having 7 million downloads or 1 million players day one. Maybe Bluehost's feeling, you know what? We might as well get as much money as we can now for Microsoft, because by the time we come out on PlayStation, it may not do well because Fortnite might already have the hold there, so they figure they might as well get as, because honestly, we both know that PUBG is not going to sell on Xbox and PS4 what it's sold on PC, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, it's so they're looking at it okay, PC's at 13 million, who knows what it's at, 14 million, it keeps on going. That's the breadwinner. So they're looking at console, and it's we're going to release for Microsoft. They signed us to a bunch of money. We're going to release the PlayStation, but now they have that kind of stick in the road, which is Fortnite, which maybe screwed up their plans. So now they're maybe just trying to get more money out of Microsoft because they know their potential for their sales on PS4 are limited because Fortnite's available. I don't know. I kind of view them talking about this in the media as this negotiation tactics, However, with that said, I would much rather prefer Microsoft to take the money that they would use on trying to secure PUBG and just trying to either build a new studio or make a new IP or something. I feel that money is better situated there. But what do I know? Because I'm just a fat guy on the internet.
Well, making new studios is hard because
I know.
You have to hire people, and and to hire people, you have to compete with people like EA, who have much bigger budget to make studios than Microsoft do. So I don't know if making studios from nothing is exactly something that can happen.
Well, Jez is tired, man. Talking all about that with You got you a little upset there, and you're like
Yeah,
already falling
it's hard
asleep.
me out, man. It's hard me out. But you know, people always say this. I prefer Microsoft to spend money building up a studio, blah 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 blah. They can't do that, man, because they have to compete with much bigger studios like Ubisoft, the Ubisofts, and the EAs of the world, who will pay more than probably Microsoft can dive to. The only reason they managed to create the coalition was because the team basically loved each other. They loved the IP, and they were willing to jump ship from Epic because of Gears of War. You know, that was a rare situation. But for other studios, like, you know, I mean, what would you want them to do? Like buy a studio or
I don't.
something like that?
I mean, who knows what? I don't know. That's the thing. It's like I don't know. I don't know how much it costs to run a studio. I don't know what it costs to make a game. I'm just saying, like, who like what? I don't know what type of money we're even talking about. Like, how much is Bluehole asking for Microsoft to keep that game from PlayStation? It's got to be a lot of money because PlayStation has 60 million users, right? So and I'm sure they're valuing their IP pretty highly. So they got to be asking for quite a lot of money. I mean, they're not going to be like, you can get exclusivity for this for $10 million, right? It's got to be way more money than that. So it's like,
Yeah, it's
I
weird,
mean,
man.
what I know. So it's like, if it costs them $100 million, why not make two games that? Why not hire out two studios to make two new games at 50 with the $50 million budget, or one new game at 100 million? You know what I'm saying? Like, I get
They've
it.
got
Like PUBG's like the big new game, and they feel that it'll push consoles and stuff. And it's better to invest in a known product and a known quantity that has hype behind it than maybe build something brand new that you don't know what it's going to do. Because hell, they were burned by Quantum Break, they were burned by Sunset Overdrive, they were burned by Rise, and all these other games, right?
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's really hard. There's so many complicated factors in here that aren't really accounted for when you say just throw money at this, just create $100 million budget game, bring it out of nothing. It seems like there's so many issues at play here that sort of um, stopping any of this sort of stuff from happening. But the difference between, you know, a couple of podcasts ago and now is that Phil Spencer is now on the senior leadership team, which means he can address Amy Hood directly for budget, you know, and funds and stuff like that. Whereas before he'd have to go through Terry Myerson to get that approved, and obviously Terry Myerson doesn't know anything about gaming. Can you imagine Terry Myerson pitching a budget increase to Satya Nadella on behalf of Phil Spencer when he doesn't know anything about games or gaming? It just doesn't compute, man. So like Phil is in a much more authoritative place to do that. And also people at Microsoft just like Phil. They just like Phil because Phil's an awesome guy. And you know, so like I can't say the same about Terry. So judging by what I've heard. So I think Phil it's potentially a good thing that Phil for getting more money for that kind of thing that you're talking about, like making studios, buying studios, and making sure that we get quality exclusives. Because obviously Microsoft wants to have quality exclusives, and they've heard that criticism loud and clear, you know. And but at the same time, it's hard, you know. They don't have studios like Sony have that are matured and they've got a good culture and they've got amazing devs and really established AAA adventure game IP that really resonate with a really broad audience. Microsoft just doesn't have that, you know. It's got like it's still regarded as the shooter studio, even though like we've got Forza and we have got diverse games like, you know, there is diverse games, but then a lot of them they aren't like AAA blockbusters, you know. Those adventure games, kind of like Horizon Zero Dawn and stuff like that, and The Last of Us 2, because you know, Last of Us 2 is just going to be this amazing, you know, year-defining game. You just know it. I mean,
I
it might
mean,
be a total flop, but it probably won't
well, I
be.
mean, it's not going to flop sales wise, but will it be as impactful as Last of Us One? I have my doubts about that.
Well, either way, it's gonna be an event. When The Last of Us 2 comes out, it's gonna be a big event. When Halo 6 comes out, is that gonna be a big event now? You
I
know,
mean, yeah, it should be.
I don't know, man.
It
I
should
don't know.
be. It literally should be. Jez, is Halo coming out next year? I need to know.
Halo 6? I don't know. I haven't heard. I haven't heard anything. Actually, no. This is what I've heard. I've heard that Halo 6 has been cancelled,
Ugh.
and the next Halo will be a VR game.
Well, I mean, you're half right. So, so this PUBG stuff. Are you a little just tired of hearing about it? It's just as much as I am because it's like every
Well,
day you get on there,
I
it's like
enjoy it. I,
PUBG, 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 PUBG.
I
It's
mean,
like, oh,
I've got like Matt Brown, my colleague on Windows Central. He's in charge of writing about PUBG, so I just ignore PUBG right now. I'll play it when it comes out and I'll enjoy it, but I'm not I'm not on the hype train. I'm really not. I think it's a great game, but I don't think it's just one of those hype games.
yeah. I mean, it is kind of a phenomenon we are witnessing. I mean, like 13 million sold in 6 months and stuff. It's just it needs to come out already. Like I know it's October. I'm guessing December it's going to come out, but like I'm sure this isn't the last time we'll hear about Player Unknown Battlegrounds. But anyways, Jazz mentioned Halo. There is a new Halo game coming out in literally 13 days.
Woo!
Where
Well,
was this game at E3, Jazz? A new Halo game this year?
it's not a game.
Oh,
They're
oh,
calling it an experience.
oh no, Jazz. Oh.
It's a Halo experience, friend.
So
And
it's a
it's free.
VR title called Halo Recruit. That you can play at the Microsoft Store, or if you own a Windows Mixed Reality headset, you can download it from the Windows Store, which I believe you own one of those, correct?
I don't actually.
What?
I have a HoloLens, which
Oh,
isn't
you can't
Windows
use it
Mixed
on
Reality.
HoloLens?
No, because HoloLens is not mixed reality, it's augmented reality.
Oh, okay, okay.
So you need a Windows mixed reality headset, which is basically virtual reality. They've just rebranded virtual reality for some reason. Um, so this game, Halo Recruit, my colleague Daniel Rubino, my executive editor, who's a far better journalist than me, he went and played Halo Recruit in San Francisco a couple of days ago. He wrote a preview up on Windows Central if you're interested. But basically, it's just an experience. I think it's like you go through like a training program. Like you're an ODST and you go through a training program, shooting things in mixed reality using the motion controllers, and that's basically it. It's like it was billed as like a teaser for what might be possible with Windows mixed reality in the future. It's not gonna be sold. It's gonna be completely free. It's almost like a demo. It's like a demo for mixed reality. So
So
yeah,
Lovebug Gopher wants to know any word on whether it'll work on other VR devices or strictly
no,
Windows Mixed Reality.
100% Windows mixed reality requires a Windows 10 store. Requires one of the 5 Windows mixed reality headsets. So the Samsung headset, HP, Lenovo, Acer, and Asus. They've all got headsets starting at $400, going up to $500, I think.
Yeah, Gopher, I bet you wish you could you never bought that Oculus Rift now, huh? I mean, I know he bought it for, the porn and stuff, but
Oculus Rift is dead.
yeah.
I
But
mean that's the thing. It's like my VR is not that popular, frankly. But Microsoft has basically killed Oculus Rift with Windows Mixed Reality because it's going to have Steam VR and it's going to have much better multitasking and all that sort of stuff. So Oculus Rift's going to struggle after this, I think. I wouldn't be surprised if Oculus ends up supporting Windows Mixed Reality as well eventually.
So we at least have a Halo game this year, even though it's a VR game. Halo 6 possibly next year. Uh Man, it's gonna be I don't know. Like I was doing some digging. They've never announced a Halo game and had it come out the same year. Ever. So since it's not announced yet, if they announce it next year, judging by their previous history, it wouldn't come out. But I just can't. There's no way Gears 5 is ready next year, is it?
I highly doubt it. Now, it's interesting you say that they've never announced a Halo and had it come out in the same year, but it's like earlier we were talking about how Shadow of War was announced this year, and it's also coming out this year. I'm starting to wonder whether that's just going to be the done thing now.
I mean, I guess it's possible. I mean, I don't know. It's like maybe unless Microsoft, like, I know this goes against what they do, but unless Microsoft has like an event in February where they unveil Halo, because then you think like, okay, when could they announce Halo 6? It would be E3, and then it would come out like what, 4 months later? Is that enough time to hype up that game? But if they do some sort of smaller event at the beginning of the year where they do it, but I don't know. Like I think they need it for next year. Because, like I said, Gears 5 ain't going to be ready, and unless they have like a secret like other game, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm a little bit I'm questioning.
It's worrying. They can't have two anemic years. I mean, next year they got Sea of Thieves, apparently, State of Decay 2, which is going to be pretty good, but it's not going to shift consoles, I doubt. You're going to have Sea of Thieves maybe, and we still don't really know what the full gameplay looks like.
You said Sea of Thieves twice.
Oh, okay. Well,
so you have Sea of Thieves.
Crackdown 3.
What else? Forza Horizon 4, possibly, right? I mean,
yep.
I mean, but here's the thing. What if
Surviving Mars? Yes.
What if Crackdown 3 was a full year delay? What if they just moved it from this November to next November?
Then it better be amazing, because I think people would be pretty pissed.
Because like I'm looking at it, it's like I can't see Microsoft releasing Sea of Thieves, State of Decay, and Crackdown all before E3 next year. I just can't see it. I see them releasing a Max 2. You know, so it's like maybe Crackdown in September, but I don't know. Like if there's no Halo and there's no Gears, there has to be something else, right? Maybe they move Crackdown, maybe they revamp the graphics. I don't know. I'm just kind of curious about like the strategy moving forward, because then, okay, if Halo's not next year, that means Halo's 2019 and Gears is 2020, and then what? Like,
well, people are saying Metro Exodus in chat, but Metro Exodus isn't going to be exclusive, is it?
No, it's not exclusive.
I mean, you could have said Metro Exodus if it was exclusive, because that game is going to be amazing, and I won't believe anything otherwise, because Metro is total bay.
But, and I mean, Ori and the Will of the Wisp is a 2019 game, so
do we know that for a fact?
I mean, not for a fact, but it is. Well, I know it is.
Okay. Well, I don't know, man. It's it'd be worrying for me if.
Well, I mean, okay, just look at the clues, Jazz. The only trailer at Microsoft press conference without a date, or in the Will of the Wisps, right? No date on it whatsoever. Anytime they've talked about, like at Gamescom when they pivoted and they started talking about how the next 6 months for Xbox were really good, they never mentioned Ori. They haven't mentioned Ori since it was announced, because it's not coming out anytime soon. It's a 2019 game at the earliest, probably March 2019.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, who even knows? You'd assume Forza Horizon 4, but like Playground's working on their new IP. Maybe they have. I don't know. They have a lot of questions to answer at E3. But Stick Figure, who gave us the name for the show, he wanted us to talk about Forza Motorsport 7's microtransactions, Jez.
All right. So you need to explain.
See, here's the thing. I just know there's a lot of talk around them. Like Jim Sterling did a video. The No did a video. I'm seeing articles pop up everywhere about how Forza Motorsport 7 is basically a free-to-play game with microtransactions, which I think is a little bit hyperbolic, right? So from what I understand, it all kind of started with the VIP stuff. So if you bought the $100 version of Forza, the store description said you get the VIP for extra credits. Now, in the previous Forza games, if you were VIP, you would get double the credits on every single race you did, right? Well, when the Ultimate Edition actually came out, people discovered it wasn't a permanent double XP or double credits like it was previously in the other games, but it was a 5 cards that you could use 5 times, and that was it. They updated the store description after the game came out to rectify the changes. So people were a little bit upset because they were like, hey, the store said this, and then the game came out, and then they changed it, whatever. Um, but so one of the other issues I've seen people say is that you used to be able to adjust the assists in the game. Like if you wanted to turn the line off, if you wanted to make it harder for yourself, they would have credit bumps. So like I'm kind of a casual racing fan. So like I kind of have a lot of the assist on. So I would only get like a plus 10% credit bump. Whereas my friend like Maka or other people would have like 80% because they play it, they make it harder for themselves so they get more credits. But they kind of took that out of the game and they put that more into individual mods in uh, the loot boxes themselves. Even though you can get more credits by changing the difficulty of the drive avatars and stuff.
Right.
There's also the change in if you want to buy a car. So the cars are gated by tiers. You have like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, tier 6, tier 7, right? Now, in previous Forza games, if you got enough money to buy a car, like a really expensive car that you wanted, you could go buy that car. However, you're now gated by the tier. So if, say I want the Lamborghini from Forza Horizon 3, right? And say it costs $3 million. And I earn $3 million in the game. However, that car is a tier 5. So I can't go and buy that car. I have to buy enough cars in tier 1 and increase my car collector standing and then unlock tier 2. And then buy enough cars in tier 2 to then unlock tier 3. And then so forth and so on until you actually want to get to the cars that you see what I'm saying?
So basically what you're saying is they've restructured the way you get cars to make it a huge, massive grind to try and incentivize you to purchase things.
You still also get cars in the prize crates, as they call them, and stuff, and you earn your credits, right? You can't buy the loot boxes with real money. It's all just in-game money that you earn, right? So
it will be money.
It will. They said that it will be, right? So like they call this pay to earn because the whole structure is like you race and you earn credits. And then you take the credits that you earned and then spend them on prize boxes and then get the mod cards that increase your credits. So then you use the mod cards to earn more credits. So you go back to the loot boxes to buy more stuff and get more.
So basically, the loot boxes in Forza 7 are part of the natural gameplay loop.
I mean, kind of, but like, I mean,
they're not separate. You have to use them.
From what I understand, yeah, but like I haven't played the game that much. Like I'm just going by what people have said,
Right.
So yeah, I mean, honestly, like the idea that like if I want to buy a car but I can't, and I got to buy 10 shitty cars to increase my car level before I can buy that car, that does kind of rub me the wrong way because I'm all about buying what I want. This is the kind of the problem I had with Gears 4 and their stuff. It's like I want that skin for that gun and that character, but like you can't buy it individually. It's like, well, just keep on spinning, like, well, you keep on buying cars you don't want. I don't know. I mean,
Gears, you could deconstruct them in Gears and get.
You can't do that in this one, no.
No. Wow.
There's no way to like because you never get duplicates. So like,
well, the thing is, right? Eventually, one company is going to push so hard against this loot crate thing that some regulator will notice, especially in Europe. Someone will notice that this is a manipulative way to try and trick people into spending money using psychological tactics that very, very closely match what they use in casinos to get addictive personalities to spend money. Now, I hate loot crates because I have an addictive personality. And I fall for this shit, man. I fall for this shit because I'm stupid. But, I've got the means to spend money on this crap. For people who are addicted, do have addictive personalities, people who do destroy their lives, gambling and slot machines and stuff like that, this is basically predatory on them. And it's predatory on people who shouldn't really be wasting their money on micropayments, but the game sort of tries to trick you into doing that. And people always say stuff like, oh well, don't buy them then, don't buy them then. But the thing is, they are designed to persuade a certain kind of person with a certain kind of psychology into buying them, And if you are the kind of person who just ignores them, then that's fine, because that's your personality and that's fine. But some people aren't able to resist sometimes, And I've wasted a lot of money on loot crates and stuff like that. I'm terrible. I'm part of the problem.
Yeah, how much have you spent on Overwatch's stuff?
Well, at least Overwatch's cosmetic DLC.
Hey, you give me crap all the time about Barbie and all this stuff. Tell the listeners how much money you've spent on waifu material in Overwatch.
Waifu material?
Because here's Jez in my DMs. He's like, no, here's Jez in my DMs. Why is Overwatch so successful? And I'm like, I don't know, it's good. He's like, no, it's because the chicks are hot and they're waifus and there's husbandu. Like, oh, yeah. Mercy and stuff.
I'm like, McCree main, man. I'm a McCree main. He's a
McCree main. So tell the people how much money you spent on these. Jez is the reason why developers do this stuff. Why they have
I am.
Yeah, tell them.
I've spent about $200.
$200. How much is one loot box, by the way?
I don't even know. I just spend, I just spend money. But that's the thing though. It's like on the one hand, it's like, okay, I'm spending money on these Overwatch loot crates because I want to get a particular McCree skin or a particular Roadhog skin. And I get it, and I'm happy. And then Blizzard take the money and they use it to improve the game. And we can see this in Overwatch very blatantly because they add free heroes, they add free maps, they do free events like the Halloween event coming up soon and stuff like that. And I feel like, and all the DLC is cosmetic, it doesn't affect the gameplay at all. Doesn't affect the gameplay at all. I'm okay with that, personally. I'm okay with that. But at the same time, it's kind of like the tactics that Overwatch uses to get you to buy these crates is manipulative because it's part of the gameplay loop. You get credits for winning, and then every time you enter that screen with the loot crates on, it tempts you to pay more money, But the thing is, it never affects the gameplay, so it's not so bad. But in a game like Forza, where they've set up this grindy structure, it's even more compelling to spend money because it's like, I've got to grind all these tiers to get the car that I want, So it's sort of like an extra layer of shit to try and persuade you to spend extra money. And it's sort of like, it's just a shame, that this is what gaming has come to, that more and more games are becoming these gambling things because it should be called gambling. It should be called gambling. And, one day, one AAA developer will go too far and they will deceive people too much. And a regulator will notice. And they've already noticed in China. China gets them to label... Overwatch in China has to label its stuff as gambling, and it has to tell you what the probability is you've got to get any item and stuff like that, So regulators are noticing, and in Europe, eventually they will notice that Microsoft and these games are trying to trick people into spending microtransactions and gambling loot crates by having really flashy graphics, and it's really exciting when the crates open and you get this shining, rewarding thing, and you get the sound effects. The whole thing is designed like a slot machine when you hit the jackpot on a slot machine. Man.
Yeah, I mean, it's designed to make you feel good. You get those
get the blood
dopamine. Yeah, and look, even Forza, since a lot of the loot crates are for customization, they created something specifically that wasn't in other Forza games. So now you have a driver, and they actually have like driver outfits, which are in the loot crates. Yeah, because you can only get them in the loot crates, but like because they wouldn't dare touch the customization of the cars, right? Because people would be up in arms if like the customization of the cars were in loot crates. So they actually created something new.
They will be up in arms now, but in 2 or 3 generations of Forza games, will it just have become the norm? Will everyone will accept this insidious every progression mechanic in every game is now tied to the opportunity to gamble your money? Is every single game going to become these horrible loot crate things? And soon it will be a selling point for a game to not have these loot crates. I bet you hopefully Cyberpunk 2077 will not have any loot crates in, and it'll be a selling point of the game. They will market their game like they marketed The Witcher 3, saying we're not going to sell DLC, we're not going to have loot crates, we're going to give you 14 free pieces of DLC, and then we're going to have a huge expansion pack later on. No season pass, blah, 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 blah. They used it as a selling point, man. And the future games will be able to use it as a selling point. They'll be saying, like, our game has none of this, our game has none of that. Like, Titanfall uses it as a selling point. Let's say we don't have any loot crates in Titanfall. We have these skin packs that you pay for, and you know exactly what you're getting. There's no gambling involved.
So yeah, but nobody really plays Titanfall, though, unfortunately.
Exactly. Maybe people would.
Unfortunately,
if it had loot crates.
And this is just, it's an easy target. Like, loot boxes and microtransactions are easy targets for people to make videos about and, like, stand on the moral superiority of, like, I'm against this. Yeah, that's what Jim Sterling does and things like that.
Half the people complaining about loot crates, like myself, have probably bought loot crates, because the stupid people buy them, and I'm a stupid person, and that's why I buy them. And
so the conversation around
sorry, go on.
Well, I was gonna say that. So, but like because of this, the conversation with Forza 7 has shifted not from it being a great looking simulation racer that racing fans should play to Forza 7 is a free to play game. The microtransactions are yucky. Stick it to like the conversation has shifted from the game itself to just the loot boxes. You know what I mean? Like that's where like the shift.
That's good though. That's good because if they're gonna put these shit mechanics in their games, then they should expect pushback, and gamers should push back. And I'm glad that the YouTube community is pushing back because even if the Forza stuff isn't that bad, it'll make other developers think twice about their implementations. Like Shadow of War. Shadow of War being a single player game, having loot crates as part of its gameplay loop is just really strange to me, And every time I open the pause menu, it's going to be like, here's an opportunity to gamble, to skip part of the game and stuff like that, And for the developers developing those games, if people aren't using the loot crates, then it's some developer's job to incite purchases on those loot crates. And if people aren't buying them, then that developer didn't do his job properly. So people are pushing hard for that stuff. Publishers are pushing for it. Activision, EA, Ubisoft, and Microsoft. They're all pushing for these loot crates thing. But
so Rich wants to know why we're talking about it when there are no microtransactions in Forza yet, because you can't pay real money, and even though they exist in Destiny 2. The reason we talked about it is because a stick figure wanted us to bring it up. And I figured we'd talk about it, even though me and Jez haven't played the game enough to reach there. And they've said the loot boxes will be monetized at one point. And they won't be at launch. A month from now, 2 months from now, you'll be able to buy them. So, they just got to figure out the stuff. And yeah, I don't buy microtransactions. I don't buy loot boxes either, Rich. Like, I have not bought a single one. Overwatch, Rainbow Six Siege, Destiny. I think they're all entirely useless. And I will not spend my money on them because, number one, I don't care about character customization. I've never cared about character customization. I don't care what my gun looks like. I care about what my gun does. And none of that stuff you buy or spend money on changes that. So, like, I guess I'm immune to that kind of thinking where it's like, oh, I really want that cool skin. But that has never affected me. Number one, because in most like first-person shooters, you don't even see your character. You don't even see your driver in Forza. So what do I even care what he looks like? And in Destiny, it's like I don't care about these emotes. I don't care about this ship. I don't care about any of this stuff. But people do, and people love customization, so they spend their money on it. I'm just not one of them.
But that's the thing. It's like it's if one developer's doing these micropayments and another one isn't, then the developer that isn't is giving up free money basically, because there are stupid people out there like myself who have disposable income, who will pay for the extra customization bits, you know. And when it's cosmetic, I don't really see a problem, you know. But when it's affecting gameplay and when it's affecting a developer's mentality of like, okay, we're going to make this great game, the game's going to be amazing, blah, 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 but we're going to balance the gameplay to incentivize these compulsive behavioral choices in people who are compulsive and will spend the money. And it's fine for me because I've got this, I'm lucky and I've got disposable income. But for someone who doesn't have disposable income, who is struggling and stuff, when these gambling mechanics get too aggressive, it's going to impact some people, man. It's going to hurt people, you know, like casinos hurt people in real life. So I think developers want to be fucking responsible about how they do this stuff, because if they're going to do it, then fine. But the way it's going, one developer will eventually go too far, you know, and it's gonna push it to a point where it hurts someone, you know, who spends, you know, on people who struggle with compulsive behavior, you know, like there is such a thing as gambling addiction, you know.
Yeah, definitely. You know what else should be addiction? Hitting that like button on the video. We had like 240 people and only 80 likes. What the heck? Hit that like button, people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll delve more into the Forza stuff and you know, I'll see what it really entails and stuff. But I want to talk about it because that's the conversation around Forza now, is that stuff. So, Phil Spencer's in Japan. He tweeted out today.
Ooh.
What do you think he's there for, Jazz? You think Neo was just announced as going to PC at the end of the year? Do you think there's
I think he's in Japan because he's been sent by Satya Nadella to negotiate the sale of Xbox to Nintendo or PlayStation. That's why he's in Japan. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's in Japan. I don't know if anything will come out of it. Maybe he's just seeing some of the games in development over there. We're getting close to the X launch too. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? I'm not sure. I just saw him tweeted today that he's in Japan. So maybe something will come out of it. Maybe something won't. So what else? What else is there to talk about, Jez? You got any other topics that come to head? Yeah. About how you feel Microsoft should just drop Windows 10 gaming and just go with Steam?
I don't know. It's yeah, it's the whole thing is weird, man. Microsoft's in a weird place right now, and I want to wait for Phil to actually have an opportunity to be, you know, in his new position before I pass any further judgments on what Xbox is doing. I'm personally pretty happy with what Xbox is doing, you know. I'm happy with my console. I like everything that it does. Disappointed about Groove, blah blah blah, but you know, that wasn't really an Xbox thing. You know, I do worry about Microsoft's commitment to consumers and creating fans, you know. I do worry about that sort of stuff. As someone whose job it is to analyze Microsoft. I mean, personally, I don't really care. You know, I don't wake up worrying about it. But you know, if I was working for Xbox or Microsoft and I wasn't privy to high level conversations, I would be worried. You know, because I think Microsoft is squeezing itself out of consumer market.
So, the PS4 Pro patch for Witcher 3 is out.
All right.
We kind of be a preview of maybe what the Xbox One X version looks like in a month. Maybe.
I guess so.
See how that one improves.
Go back and play Witcher 3?
Maybe. I didn't finish it, so there's always that possibility. I mean, I do.
Witcher 3?
I did not. No. Too many Barbie games.
You played Barbie games and you never finished Witcher 3.
Yeah, you spent $300 on Overwatch loot boxes. You can't speak.
200.
Whatever.
God. Well, I spent about $1,000 on World of Warcraft.
Geez, Jazz, geez. Microsoft also announced a new bundle today, Assassin's Creed Origins and a Rainbow Six bundle, except it's for the S, so it's not the X. So for launching on October 27th, you can get the Xbox One S Assassin's Creed bundles, 1 TB or 500 GB. Comes with 1 TB or 500 gigs, a copy of Assassin's Creed Origins and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, controller, 1 month Xbox Game Pass subscription, and 14-day gold. The 1 TB bundle will be $350 or €340, and the 500 bundle will be available for €270, but no American price. So I guess maybe that's not here in the States. Huh.
I don't know. I don't know, man. Do you think the X will beat the Nintendo Switch in NPD when it comes out?
Ooh, that's a tough one. That's a tough, like, I've been going back and forth because I think
doing really well. Switch has been doing really well.
I think all three have the potential to win the holiday. It's just a matter of, I think Nintendo, if there's stock available, like if you can just purchase a Switch, especially with Super Mario Odyssey coming out, I think Nintendo will win. But there may not be stock. The X and all the people buying the X plus the S sales, I think maybe could beat out PlayStation. But we haven't seen any of like their potential marketing or like what prices they'll drop to. I think it's possible for any three to win. Like, to be honest with you, we're gonna have to wait and see. Does Switch have stock? How many people are really buying the X? Like, how much can Microsoft produce? What price will the S drop to? And will people want to pick up the S even though the X is out? What price will the PS4 Slim drop to? What price will the PS4 Pro drop to? It's going to be a pretty interesting holiday when you factor all those different things in there. So there is that. We'll take a couple questions before we get out of here because it's almost getting to be time. Let's see, what time is it? Yeah. But like 1 or 2 questions, the first 2 that show up in chat, we will answer real fast, and then we will get out of here because I know people want to go on with their day. So what do we got? See any questions there, Jez? Brandon Jez, what was the first game you got an achievement on 360 and the one? Mine was King Kong and Batman Arkham Knight. This is from Damian Johnson. Ooh. So my first achievement on the 360 was in Perfect Dark. And my first achievement on the Xbox One, besides the day one achievement, I want to say was Killer Instinct.
I think my first achievement might have been, I don't know for sure actually without going to look. I mean, can you even find that information? But the one I remember, there's an achievement in Dead Rising 1 for taking a photograph. I think that might have been among the first I got on 360. I think Dead Rising was the first game I played on 360, I think. And on Xbox One, it would have been some achievement for Assassin's Creed 4, because I think that's the first game I played on Xbox One. Black Flag. What a great game that was, by the way. Black Flag.
Let's see what else we got here. Do you know when 4K assets will be available for pre-download for the X? This is from Rich. No, we don't know.
You won't be able to pre-download them, will you? It requires.
I thought they said you could, or at least for some of the games you could.
I thought that it required an X to download the Xbox One assets, Xbox One X assets.
Maybe I thought that was like the other thing at Gamescom where they talked about you can be prepared so you can download the updates and then plug it in so you don't have to spend all that time.
Maybe. Oh yeah, because I got
downloading all that stuff.
Thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know then. I would guess sometime after the 1710 update, which is going live, should be going live as soon as they finish polishing up the last of the bugs. Yeah. The Xbox, I think the Windows 10 full creators update is meant to be, is it October 17th? Off the top of my head. I might have made that up. But it should be going live around the same time.
So Joe Sinister wants to know if Studio Gobo is making the new Fable. Possibly.
I don't think so.
But, I mean,
I don't think so. They're not
they are making something for Xbox or Microsoft.
Wasn't it confirmed what they were making already?
No, they haven't said. So I don't know. And let's
I
see.
doubt it's Fable. I mean, gonna be a disappointing AA game because they're not a very big studio.
Uncompetitive says, if you could pick any PC game to be a console exclusive for Xbox, what would it be?
Ooh, ooh.
Hmm.
PC
Hmm.
game. That's hard. I mean, most of the PC games that I play are strategy games, so they wouldn't work very well on Xbox without a mouse and
Yeah.
keyboard.
The biggest PC games are like League of Legends or Dota 2 or Counter-Strike Go,
World of
which
Warcraft would be a good pick.
some not, I don't know. Like a lot of PC games do come to Xbox through the ID at Xbox program, and you would want like the biggest PC exclusive to make its way over. So I mean, like just based,
Imagine if they had World of Warcraft as an exclusive.
I was gonna say League of Legends just because it's the biggest game in the world,
Well,
right?
isn't World of Tanks the biggest game now?
Uh, I mean, I don't know.
God, that's weird. World of Tanks. Star Citizen, that'd be a good game. I think well, this is the interesting thing with mouse and keyboard coming to Xbox One is potentially they can open up the console to games that wouldn't work that well with controllers. Like, I can't imagine that Blizzard would be Blizzard wouldn't be able to rebalance World of Warcraft for controllers because the whole game is balanced around a mouse use. You know, there's a lot of jump turning mechanics like you know it's hard to really explain if you're not a World of Warcraft player, but you know, there's a lot of kiting in it, and that really requires the ability to turn fast with the mouse. So, you know, if they did bring mouse and keyboard to Xbox, you know, games like World of Warcraft could be pretty huge, or like even like some of the more complicated games like I don't know, Stellaris and StarCraft 2 maybe. I don't know. Maybe they could just bring every Blizzard game over.
That would be pretty big if they could. Like what I'm still surprised like Hearthstone hasn't come over to Xbox or PlayStation, to be honest with you. They'd make mad money on that game.
Yeah, that is
Uh
weird.
so the last question before we get out of here, True Racer wants to know when will we get an update for Upload Studio? I mean, hopefully for the X. I mean, they are working on what, the 4K 60 frame capture for it. I mean, they just updated so you can capture in 1080 and the ability to move the clips to an external drive. You would figure with those upgrades for like they would actually want to maybe redo Upload Studio at some point because it is pretty shitty. And this is coming from someone who used that exclusively in the beginning to make my videos. Now, since I don't have an Elgato, but I am planning on getting one pretty soon, I just capture the footage onto my USB stick in 1080p and then bring it over to the computer so I can edit it there and do the voiceover. But yeah, I mean, you figure with the 4K stuff that they would want to improve Upload Studio, right?
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that. It's weird because the Photos app for Windows 10 now does let you edit clips, and it does have this sort of weird. Let me find it here. It does have like rudimentary video creation stuff now. Like you can create a video, and it is UWP based, so presumably this could work on Xbox. It lets you trim clips, merge them together. It even lets you algorithmically add music and match the clips to the music. So like it detects, for example, it would detect when someone had kicked a ball and it would match the kick to the drum beat, you know, algorithmically. It's pretty cool actually.
Yeah.
So I do think Microsoft want to make the Xbox a good place to edit clips together, but whether they do it for Upload Studio or just use the Photos app, which has actually gotten pretty good now, remains to be seen.
Yep. So thanks guys for hanging out with us. Thanks for giving us all the questions and for hitting that like button. If you enjoyed it, obviously hit the like button. Sub to the channel if you haven't already, or if you're new here and you enjoyed the show. Make sure you follow Jez on Twitter. Jez, any articles coming out soon that people can look forward to?
Well, actually, yes. Tomorrow I am publishing a mini exclusive about the state of Xbox VR and why Xbox One X doesn't have VR yet. Well, it's not really an exclusive, but it's some information we got from Alex Kipman in San Francisco about where Xbox is when it comes to VR. It's pretty much just repeating what Phil Spencer said before, but it's interesting hearing it come from Kidman, I guess. Beyond that, I'm going to be reviewing Shadow of War, which I'm very, you know,
Excited
angsty
about.
about because of the I'm angsty about it because of the fucking micropayments in it. So I will be definitely looking to see how the micropayments affected the game, whether it turns it into a horrible grind fest just to try and force you to buy stuff, or whether it's fair or not. I'm going to be putting a great deal of emphasis on that because it's I think it's important, man. I think it's important for reviewers to stay on top of this.
It is.
But, yeah.
So with that, we are out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been episode 27. We'll be back next week for episode 28. Have a good day, and we'll see you next week. Later, guys.